The Bitcoin halving just 18 days away, and this typically results in a huge surge in the altcoin market. In this video, I'm going to talk about coins that I am buying right now in April to prepare for the biggest gains over the next 1 to 2 months. This isn't going to be one you want to miss, so hit the like button and let's find out what I'm talking about. Now guys, I know for a long time I've rattled on saying that the halving doesn't really matter because I think crypto bull markets are all basically driven by liquidity anyway. But this halving has an impact because it's used by the media to drive people back into the crypto markets, and this is why we can expect a huge surge coming from the altcoin market. Now, while it might feel like nothing is really going on right now, getting across to Twitter and paying attention to some of the key players out there, you'll start to realize that all of these models are lining up. We're still in a position where everything's lining up right now after a quiet month to see a big surge in the next few weeks. So as you would imagine, like any good crypto degen, I've been scouring the markets, following transactions, trying to identify the key narratives, the key coins, so I can bring them to you here. And you're not going to be disappointed. Now, it's pretty evident to me that there's a few key narratives at play, but we don't have to just focus on the narratives that have been running hot, because there's a couple of other narratives that haven't been running hot since last October, and I think are due to see a nice pickup. Now, first things first though, we are going to look at a coin that sits within an ecosystem that has been very busy. Now, this coin has already been seeing some action, and it will continue to see some good solid action over the next few weeks. It's built on Base, it's in GameFi, and it's rdhq. Now, this is basically a game that's benefiting pretty much from the growth of the Base ecosystem. But while this Base narrative has been kind of running hot for a week or two, because we see ourselves entering into the halving, we see Coinbase going from strength to strength as it typically does when retail enters the markets, everything on Base could be set for a massive explosion. And sorry for those of you who have spent months and months analyzing the deep data of various different bits and pieces, but really what gets people pumped up and excited in times of retail bull markets are hot narratives with nice pretty websites. Maybe. GameFi. Okay, GameFi gets people excited. It's easy to understand. This is a marketplace for various different games and other things going on. Not only that, I've seen whales aping into this project time and time again over the last few days, even though the price has been surging higher. And I want to share something with you. I've been talking about this over the last day or two. When we have a good, decent launch, typically a price will kind of dive towards the downside, and then eventually it will start to kind of get on its run. Now, what you can see is, yeah, it would have been nice to kind of be on board over the last day or two. But what we can see is right now it's starting to breach beyond the highs that it saw earlier on. And I would anticipate a fairly serious continuation in the price of this coin over the next few weeks. Market cap sat there at $164 million. So by no means is it tiny, but as soon as it breaches this high, things are looking positive. Now, I want to share this chart pattern with you because it's actually very, very easy to work out what the hell is going on in crypto right now. I talked about this in a masterclass, which I ran yesterday, and it was basically talking about new coins that sort of sell off after all the initial hype and excitement that is driven into them by various launch pads. After we hit the launch pad, it starts to die off. Eventually, it will break a trend, it will come back, retest, and then it will get on the move. I want you to pay attention to what happens after it breaks this trend. In 2 weeks, it's up 170%. But that's fine. It's still got a relatively small following. Still not that well known about. And it's capturing people's attention as more focus still heads towards Base. This could be a top performer in the near term on the chain. So bearing in mind the pattern we've just seen, let's move on to BVM. Now you'll notice right now that the main coins that are pumping are the newer launch coins. And how do I know that? We'll go to CoinMarketCap, look at the trending ecosystems, look at gaming, for example. Click on 7 days drop down, you'll see that the newer kind of projects are the ones that are trending really hard. If you go to AI, you can see that the bigger ones aren't really doing very much at all, with Render down like 20% in the last week, Bitenza down like 10%. Click on the 7 days here and we can see that Node AI, 01 Labs, another fantastic project and definitely worth looking into, are all having pretty good weeks. So what do we know about these new projects? Okay, well, they boom up towards the upside. They get launched on nice, big, juicy launch pads. They get like good backing from various venture capital funds. All of that venture capital, and everyone starts to sell their gains up here. Then what happens is the coin starts to cool off. And eventually, if we shrink down to a 4 hour or whatever, you can see that when it breaks from this trend pattern, it breaks, it retests, and then it starts to get on the move again. This is very similar to what we just seen with rdhq. Okay, so from a chart pattern perspective, pretty good, okay? find new coins that have launched nicely in good key narratives, for example, like this one, BRC20, and then you're on to a potential winner. Now, jumping into the website bvm.network. And by the way, guys, I'm not associated with any of these projects, okay? I was making tutorials about how to find these new coins and how to study whale wallet, and it became very evident that there's a lot of coins right now that these whales are aping into. And if you watched the video I made yesterday after this one, then you can learn exactly how you go and find these types of projects. Now, Bitcoin L2 as a service. We know that Bitcoin L2 stuff or layer 2 stuff is gaining more and more attention, but it's a bit more technical. It takes a little bit more time. We've seen that narrative run hot. It's calming down again, but it will come through once more. The key narratives, I still think, within this ecosystem, this bull market, are going to be AI, gaming, of course, deep in real world assets, and BRC20. There are obviously going to be other things that will catch people's attention, but nothing's really trending right now harder than this stuff. And yeah, there's also like chains that trend at different times, like Solana, AVAX, Base, and others, right? Okay, so this basically allows people to customize and launch modular Bitcoin layer 2 blockchains. You may have heard of modular blockchains coming in, other keywords coming about. Now, you'll notice that unlike normal, where I'm really deep diving into some of these projects, I want you to kind of think almost like I'm doing this like they're meme coins. And you know I hate meme coins, okay? But why am I talking like this? Well, because a lot of these have good websites, they're ticking a few key boxes, and they have great charts, and they've recently launched, so they're still within the kind of interest area for people. When it comes to retail markets, you don't need to necessarily overthink this. We're looking for potential for big influencers, much bigger than myself, to be going and shouting out these projects. Because when they do, you get potential for very exciting moves. Now, this is quite cool. A bit of a unique looking project. Now, one little kind of red flag for this is I didn't manage to find a docs team, which is obviously something I'm not necessarily that keen on. But having actually like run through the website and tried to do the various things that they're showing and offering, it all seems to work just fine. Obviously, do your own research, make your own decisions on this. Currently sat with an $83 million market cap. Self-reporting, although I have looked at Dex Screener and that all seems to be fairly squeaky clean with BVM, so could be an exciting one to watch. Now, jumping across to Twitter, which is linked down below, what I'm going to start doing every day from now on is starting to write posts about some of these new projects that are getting more hype and attention. I don't like to always cover the sort of small cap coins and bring you tons and tons of different coins all the time on YouTube, because it gets confusing. But if you want to know in more depth these new coins that occasionally I might talk about on YouTube, if I get the chance, then give me a follow over on Twitter, because you might start to find some absolute gems along with me, and you can get way ahead of everyone who's just watching the YouTube videos. Now guys, the list goes on of new projects, and this is kind of like an absolutely classic kind of launch price pattern. You got Venom here, has a pump, has a dump, pumps into an area, gives you a perfect buy zone opportunity. Now, I've heard rumors that like Venom is going to work with Andrew Tate and all this stuff. And obviously Andrew Tate, despite probably not knowing a huge amount about crypto, although it could be wrong, is obviously a massive influence. So now then, guys, we can just run through and you can see I've been looking at all of these today, right? Venom. Okay, I'm not going to dive into this too deeply because obviously I haven't got time for that. I just want to show you the charts, right? Standard launch, okay? Basically what happens is the price for the VCs and everyone's down here at 8 cents. It rallies up. People start to sell it off, and then everyone else realizes this is good value. What that teaches us is you shouldn't be diving in and buying coins, probably, on kind of first day that they go live, okay? Because lots of people did it on gaming. They're like, why have I not got any money anymore? And then this happened. BFI, you can see, has done a very similar thing as well. BRC20, a coin that I have seen other whales kind of starting to pick up. But this is the direction I want to move to now. Now, I know it might seem like I'm all over the place, okay? Unlike normal, where I'm always very chilled out and control. But what I'm trying to say to you right now is that we're in an interesting part where Bitcoin may take a dip, maybe just keeps going sideways. As Bitcoin continues to go sideways, just pay attention to some of the kind of the newer tokens out there, and also some of the key narratives that we've seen action from before that have kind of gone to sleep for a little while. For example, Rollbit in the GambleFi niche. This was all the talk back in like the summer last year when everything else wasn't really doing much. And the reason I bring you to Rollbit is right now the chart looks pretty good. Okay, we can see something interesting if I just draw a nice box across this zone. Now, what I want to show you that's also really useful is this. I've talked to you about buy zones. As you can see, a nice big candle here towards the upside. That one candle represents a big gain in the value of a big coin. Okay, what was it? Around 87% in a single day indicates that big money was entering the space when Rollbit was valued at around 10 cents. Then what happens to confirm it even further is it gets back down here around the 26th, 25th of September and does what? It goes up a whopping 162%. You can see it then arrives back in here. It has a dive out of it. Now it finally breaks all the way below this liquidity level, starting to bounce again. It wouldn't necessarily shock me to see GambleFi coins maybe having a little bit of a wake up. If Rollbit breaks beyond here, we can see potentially very quick moves. Other GambleFi coins to pay attention to that you probably heard of is BCB, one that we know that Alex Becker is an ambassador for. You can see now working its way down into a nice buy zone area. Okay, so GambleFi is my kind of like secret weapon. Okay, I think it's been quiet for a while. I've also seen whales accumulating it, and some of the guys in my group have hit me up saying that GambleFi is starting to see a bit of quiet action. That's always an interesting one for me. Now, another coin that's recently launched, seeing some very nice price action, and you're like, well, that doesn't look like nice price action. Guys, lots of you, okay, I know you get really hyped and excited about the launches of coins. This is gaming. I talked about it yesterday. You can see it had a nice pullback of around 70%. If you ape into coins the day they launch, then this tends to happen to you. You get stuck down 70% like 4 days later, okay? If you're patient, typically all of these coins will sell off for a period of time. How do I know whether or not to get into gaming? Now, gaming, we can see, sells me a little zone here where the price picks up. If it gets back down into here, I'm going to right click, I'm going to add, and I might say gaming is in a buy zone. Okay, you can add an alert, gaming in a buy zone. Easy, right? Hit create, good to go. So why do I think gaming is good to go? Okay, well, because of this. Simply on cryptorank.io, come down below, you can find various projects that have raised decent amounts of money, okay? I'm also looking to see ones that have come off of decent launch pads. Seedify, DAOmaker, Ape Terminal. These coins will typically rally very fast because they have good marketing, they have good spends, but people were selling their tokens on launch because they can make good profits. So what that means is these projects, they have some good cash in the bank, but they will ultimately start to take a bit of a pull back after that launch. During this period of time, they give us a great opportunity to buy into key narratives on coins that are still very much in the crosshairs of the smart money. Gaming that offers like gaming and deep in crossover, as well as a bit of AI and compute stuff, is a really exciting prospect. And I know it's a really exciting prospect as well because people really loved it and talk about it a lot. And they will still remember that project and they're still keen to get into it now that it's pulling back into an area that we can pay attention to. And this is probably the easiest time right now to be accumulating these coins that have recently launched, raised a decent amount of money, been on a good launch pad or two, in the right niche and narrative. And guys, you don't have to overthink this. I'm literally looking on a daily basis at multi-millionaires, and all they're buying right now, okay, is just new coins that have had a pullback, a healthy pullback. If the price continues to go lower, they're just adding to their positions and eventually they come good and then they're going to ride them up. Obviously, some will do better than others. So while the rest of the market is starting to perform a bit poorly, during this period of time as we move towards an altcoin season, speculatively, this is what I've been doing. Now, a lot of the coins I've been talking about in this video are available on MEXC. MEXC offers more coins than any other exchange out there. And as well as that, it's 0.1% spot maker-taker fees, which is pretty much the smallest industry-wide and definitely worth paying attention to. Now, previously, if you were living in the US or other areas, I was telling you to go and get yourself a NordVPN because it allowed you to access the exchange and also protected you when you were trading, etc. in crypto. However, I've been made aware by various American members of my community that MEXC is from now on going to be requesting KYC from its members. Therefore, if you want to move away from having to use KYC and having to use a VPN wherever you might be in the world right now, then I highly recommend you go and check out Bitunix, which is linked down below. It's a new exchange, but their liquidity is provided by Binance, which is obviously the biggest liquidity out there, making for a seamless and enjoyable trading experience. Now, the fees again are super low, and at the moment they're onboarding aggressively lots of new coins all the time. And by signing up for a Bitunix account down below, you can also qualify to earn airdrop rewards in the various new coins that they're launching. Make sure you use the bonus code below if you're signing up with a mobile so that you can also get those additional bonuses. Bit of a no-brainer. Now, guys, as you are well aware, I do hate to speculate on price predictions because obviously people love the idea of price predictions because we all want to know exactly where a coin is going and we can only but speculate. Now, rdhq currently sits there at $160 million market cap, which is obviously not tiny, But given the way the market's heading, given the way that the base chain is growing and GameFi is still yet to really start to pick up, I think a coin like this could offer potential for a 15, maybe even a 20x if things go to plan. Now, BVM sits there currently with a market cap of $83 million, significantly smaller than rdhq, in fact half the size, and given the way that we saw BRC20 tokens exploding at the end of 2023, I have high hopes for tokens like this if they can start to onboard more and more new users and that ecosystem continues to grow. Therefore, it might be ambitious, but I think a 20 to 25x is potentially possible for this coin. Now, as we look at Rollbit right now, the market cap is seriously high, around $358 million, but something you might not know about Rollbit is that it actually makes an enormous amount of money. And for a ratio of market cap versus money it actually makes, is probably the top value coin in the entire, something you probably were not aware of. And that means my projections for a coin like this could well be into the billions, possibly up to the 4 or 5 billions, giving the opportunity for a Rollbit to do a 10 to 15x. And since you're all degens and you're not interested in a 10 to 15x, Blockchain Bets sits there with an $18.5 million market cap, and therefore a 10x takes it to $180 million, which is still half the value of Rollbit. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to get to the same heights as Rollbit in this bull market, but that doesn't matter given that it is significantly undervalued right now, and I could see this project realistically maybe even getting towards a 30 or 40x. Now, Gaming as well sits there with a healthy market cap of around $120 million, although there are a lot of unlocks to happen over the next few years. Now, that's not always a massive concern, bearing in mind we saw Gala with a similar situation back in the last bull market performing very strongly. I do think, given the unlocks happening, that gaming could be limited to around a 20 to 30x, not the 100x plus that I see other people banding around on their videos, so obviously be cautious. Either way, this is just speculation, none of this is financial advice, so obviously go and do your research before investing any of these coins. Now guys, I hope you enjoyed today's video, something slightly different from my normal deep dive stuff, but don't worry, in future videos I'll continue to deep dive and teach you tutorials on things you should be looking for so that you can go and find coins like this by yourself every single day, because it couldn't be easier right now, I kid you not. So do me a favor, hit subscribe guys, hit the like button, and I'll see you tomorrow with another video. Bye bye.